child's handwriting is messy, slow, or they just really do not like to write, I'm gonna guess that it's not an effort problem. It's not that they need more handwriting practice. I'm gonna go right ahead and say it. It's probably that they need to really address the underlying executive functioning skills that support handwriting. Handwriting can be one of the most heavy executive functioning skill tasks that your kid has to do all day, and it's not even addressed. And if we don't address the underlying executive functioning skills, underlying handwriting problems, your handwriting is not going to get any better. I'm Nicole Santa Maria, your pediatric occupational therapist, and we are going to break down what executive functioning skills have to do with helping your child's messy handwriting. So, from dealing with so many families and in my office and in my handwriting program, I know that parents try more worksheets, more practice. I know that parents are many times recommended to address fine motor skills, right? I know that many times parents are recommended to try, let's go ahead and teach them how to write the letters. So these three are the most common efforts, recommendations that I see that families have tried, right? And if they end up with me, it's probably because they've tried all the things, but they're not seeing the improvement in the handwriting that makes any sense, right? That improving the handwriting, which means it's easy to write at school. Improving in the handwriting, which means it's easy to get the homework done. Improving the handwriting, which means that their kid doesn't hate handwriting anymore. They're just not seeing it. Now, these are like quick fixes that I see many times, right? I see anything from using a pencil grip, right? Trying to address the fine motor skills, pencil grips, right? Let's guess that doesn't work. Trying to change the paper, right? So that would be supporting the visual motor skills with different lined paper. Having conversations with your kid where you tell them they just need to try harder and they need to slow down, right? So like a pep talk. And then having them do a workbook, right? Or a worksheet. So all of these things are not bad ideas, right? They're all good ideas and they all make sense, right? To help handwriting. Let's try all these things. The problem is, and what nobody's really talking about, is the underlying skills related to handwriting, right? So handwriting is what we can see as an observable skill, right? We can see it, we can grade it, we can measure it. We really can't see things that are going underneath handwriting, right? Which are things like being regulated, right? Attention, is your child paying attention to what's going on? Being able to get that cognitive load working smoothly, so they have to think about, a paragraph without thinking about putting a space between each word, without thinking about making sure my letter's on the line. Those are all things that are happening underneath the skill that we see above, which is the handwriting being messy. Another thing that I've noticed throughout my practice is that for a parent to say and reach out, I'm looking for somebody that can help with handwriting, that's safe. It's just messy handwriting. It's a lot harder of a conversation to say, I'm really concerned about your child's attention. And I'm really concerned as to, why they can't copy off the board. I'm really concerned as to why they're making all these mistakes and errors. I'm really concerned as to why their sentences are very immature for, let's say, a third grader, right? When you have a student that doesn't like to write, most of the time their output doesn't match their cognitive level, their what they're capable of. So those conversations are a lot harder to have because we're going what's coming underneath, right? So handwriting is quick and easy and observable, and everybody can agree, yes, this is very messy handwriting. Let's fix it. So when parents are looking for solutions for handwriting, a lot of times why these methods that we just talked about don't really work is because nobody's talking about visual memory needed to remember how to write the letters, right? Or to remember how to copy. Nobody's talking about how huge working memory is for any kind of writing component, right? And working memory is very much an executive functioning skill that starts as early as 6 months. We also look at handwriting is like sustained attention, right? Being able to think of the thought and figure out how to put it on paper and stick with it so that we can use our motor skills to put in paper what our brain is thinking, right? So that's 100% attention that we need there, right? We have the problem of task initiation, right? If we're struggling with that underlying skill of task initiation that we can't really see, we can't really measure, your kid will have a hard time with handwriting. The common theme here is that handwriting is a visible skill, right? We can see it, we can measure it, we can look at it, we can feel it, we can see your child doing it, but we cannot see what's happening underneath, right? So we can't see sensory regulation, for instance. We can't see any academic struggles happening underneath. We cannot see executive functioning skills because those are all happening underneath. So those are invisible skills that we need to address in order to improve the handwriting. Something really interesting when it comes to handwriting is that handwriting marries your executive functioning skills with the handwriting, which is like what we see, the physical output, right? It also marries a lot of the thinking being done with the physical skill that we can see, which is handwriting. So the term used to describe the combination of these two things is cognitive load. All it means in this case is when your child does not have automatic fluent handwriting and they have to think about how they are going to write to get it on the paper, that is taking up some of their cognitive energy. Now they also have to think of the right format to write the paragraph. That's more cognitive energy being used. And they only have a certain amount. So it's like a bucket, right? So we filled it up with, now I have to think really hard about how to write. Now I have to think about what my teacher just told me, the format she wants me to use. Now I also have to think about grammar. So as you can see, the more things we have in this bucket, the bigger the cognitive load becomes. So our teacher giving us new instructions, let's say for grammar, will become automatic the more comfortable a student gets with it. Us being able to write a paragraph will become more automatic because eventually we have to write, a 3-paragraph essay, then we have to write a whole essay, then we write papers. So that with more skills and practice will become automatic. And I think the schools do a really great job of teaching those things. However, that cognitive load that's going into your kids' handwriting, I don't know where they teach that. That gets missing throughout this whole system. So this is why you're watching this video. This is why I'm here talking to you about this, because we can absolutely remove that handwriting from that cognitive load bucket and put it in the automatic bucket. But we have to do a couple of strategic, specific things to get it. So the takeaway here is I want you to understand that we have a ton of executive functioning skills that go into handwriting. And one of the ways that we can really reduce the difficulties of your child's messy handwriting is by working on those underlying executive functioning skills that will in turn create automatic and fluent handwriting. But in order to do this, we really need to get a handle on which executive functioning skills are playing into handwriting in general. And then we want to dive even deeper. Which specific executive functioning skills is your kiddo struggling with that's affecting their handwriting? My next video is going to dive deeper into the specific executive functioning skills playing into handwriting and how you can combine that and match it with your child's executive functioning needs. So go ahead and watch the next video, and I'll see you there.